Welcome. I'm Liz Taylor, ocean explorer, naturalist, and entrepreneur.
And I'm Sylvia Earle. I'm an oceanographer, National Geographic explorer, founder of Mission Blue, and I'm an ocean elder. Thank you, ocean elders, for sponsoring this program.
Absolutely. And this is our show Dive In, where we host informal and open conversations with the ocean community on topics of wonder and interest. And you can put any questions that occur to you in the Q&A box, and we'll get through as many of them as we can towards the end of the program. And before we get started today, let's remind everyone that the world
Is
blue. And today,
a little green around the edges.
Green around the edges, absolutely. Today, we're so excited and grateful to have our friend Carl Safina back joining us. Carl is an ecologist and author focused on human relationships with animals and the natural world. And we've had the great pleasure to be on some expeditions with him.
More to come.
And more to come.
Very
so welcome,
true.
Carl.
Yes. Thank you so much. Always really great to see you guys. And I really appreciate you having me back.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time. I know you've been like incredibly busy with the upcoming event for the Safina Center. Can you tell us more about the Safina Center and all the different things that you do there?
And the
Yeah, sure. It's kind of funny for you to say I'm incredibly busy because you guys are always very incredibly busy. I think, Sylvia, I don't know of anybody who could possibly keep pace with you. But anyway, the Safina Center, let me see, can I share an image? I can share an image. Let me share an image briefly here.
Yes.
So the Safina Center, yes, is my not-for-profit, and this is what we are about. We are about advancing the case for life on Earth. And that's because I think that we have a lot of information. Information is not what persuades people, it's values. People filter information through their values, and values are how we feel about things. So information is not going to save the world. It's what we feel. It's our hearts that could save the world. And what we're trying to do is make sure that hearts do actually save the world. We have, well, what we do is we do mostly creative products and creative projects, like the books that I write, or we have people who do films or photography or music. We have a guy who records bird song and is talking about the wild bird trade in Southeast Asia. He's trying to record the songs of a lot of birds that may actually go extinct in the wild because the trade is so intense on them. So not just, taking data and writing about it in scientific ways. All the stuff that we do is fact-based, but it's intended to make connections with people where they feel things, not only where they think about things. We work mainly through fellowship programs. We have two fellowship programs, junior and senior fellows. Junior fellows are people under 30 who are extraordinarily talented and already showing a tremendous amount of progress and are getting stuff done and are being recognized for it. And then our senior fellows are people who are in mid-career and are well recognized for work that they are doing or have done. Some of our senior fellows have used our fellowship as a bridge. For instance, Ian Urbina.
Oh, yes.
He was a full-time New York Times reporter, as you know. He helped break the story of the unbelievable abuses and slavery on fishing vessels. And he did not want to continue to be a full-time reporter. Our fellowship was a bridge to help him and actually show him how do you start your own not-for-profit group, a mission-oriented group? How do you raise money to keep that going? So, Ian was one of our fellows, and these are the kinds of things we try to do, help propel people forward from where they are right now. And we are having an event. Let's hope that this, yeah, here we go. We're having an event next week in New York City. It's our annual fundraising dinner. We're just about sold out. There are a few tickets left if any of your listeners are going to be in New York or are in New York. Sylvia, you have been at one of these. I don't think the dinner that you were at with us was at the Explorers Club. I think it was on one of the East River piers there in one of those huge places. But the Explorers Club is a nice, comfortable home for us. We've been there for a few years, and this is happening next week. So, all right, I will stop the share there.
Well,
And I
thank you.
wish I could be there to celebrate. I'll be in Rio, celebrating and saluting you from afar.
Yes. Yes, there's always too many things to do, and we're all trying to run around doing as much as we can, especially you, more than anybody I've ever known. And
Yeah.
and and with very good effect, obviously. You've really
Yeah.
made a gigantic difference and inspired so many people as well.
Well, if we were where we usually have these meetings, I'd have on the bookcase behind us
The
this
Safina shelf.
the Safina shelf. That is,
Honestly,
it's
I'm
sagging.
it is sagging. We
I'm
need to
I'm
like it.
flattered. Uh-huh.
So
But more. We need more.
yeah,
Yeah.
produce more. Get crack on it. But
It's
the
very funny, not just my books, but I had a bookshelf that was so full of books and so heavy that I heard a strange sound from the other room where I was working. And when I came out, the entire bookshelf was falling forward. And before I could attempt to grab something, a shower of hundreds of books hit the
Oh.
floor. Uh, the bookshelf had broken through the floorboards. It was so heavy, and I had a big mess on my hands. But
wow. I've taken to kind of, bolting ours to the wall just to, well, earthquake country, right?
right.
But the sheer mass has still ripped them from
Mhm.
their footings. But so inquiring minds want to know, how is Alfie doing this year?
Oh, great question. So Alfie is the baby screech owl that was found almost dead in 2018, and we helped raise. We mostly were the ones who raised, and we soft released her in our backyard here, which is pretty good screech owl habitat where we live on Long Island. And she has been free living since late 2019, I guess. She's had 21 wild babies who
Wow.
all fledged. Every one of them fledged and dispersed normally. She's had two different mates. She outlived her first mate. She's now 7 years old. And the last time I saw Alfie was just last night,
Nice.
right around this time on the East Coast. It's just about dark. It's deep dusk here right now, just about dark.
Mhm.
So she's been a tremendous success story and a totally magical thing because she left us for a little less than 1 week when we first let her out. We had to hold her for a while because she had a feather development problem caused by her, near starvation, and we held
Right.
her to make sure that she was going to be flying and her feathers would eventually grow in properly, which they did, luckily. And then she disappeared for about a week, but then she came back to our backyard and has never left. The center of her territory is right in our backyard. She has several roosting places where she spends the days. Her nest box is right on the other side of the wall where my writing desk is on the second floor of our little cottage in the backyard. And so she's part of our life and it's very magical.
And
That's so wonderful.
and she's lured companions
Yes,
to
she
your.
has. She has lured several companions to our yard. And actually an interesting thing about the two different mates that she has had is to see the different personalities of these wild owls. It's one thing to really get to know Alfie intimately, and you might think, well, it's very surprising what an owl is like, how she can so relate to us and recognize us as individuals and respond differently to us or to friends of ours, or be completely comfortable with our dogs that she grew up around, but be really afraid of strange dogs. That's all really interesting. But even more interesting in a way was getting to see the different personalities of her two mates. They were very different from one another. So these, we think that all the animals around us, they're just representations of one thing. They're just one example of a species, that they're all cookie cuttered and they're all like marbles, but they're actually all individuals. And we almost never get the experience of actually seeing that. And that's maybe the luckiest thing about this whole experience with Alfie, is to get to see so deeply into lives of actual wild animals. It's really been amazing.
Yeah, and I love you come out with the book and give these periodic updates on the observations. And
Hmm.
um, what is she mostly, or what are they mostly feeding on around your area? Is it a lot of insects? They get mice. What are they really
Yeah.
chasing?
Well, screech owls are quite small, and they eat everything from earthworms to mourning doves, I think you would
Wow.
say. They mostly focus on, as far as I can see here anyway, because in the South, we don't really have lizards on Long Island. In the South, they eat small lizards. Um, they eat frogs and things like that. I'm not sure I've ever seen them with a frog. Once I thought I did, but they eat mice. They eat kind of a lot of mice. They eat sparrows that they find who are roosting at night. They eat a lot of insects.
Yeah.
And they are really incredible at seeing moths that are on tree trunks that,
Oh,
are
maybe.
practically totally invisible, but they're incredible at picking them out. And you see them just fly at a tree trunk, and then they just stick a foot out and catch something. They'll come back to a branch near me, or to the entrance to the nest, and I can see what they've got. I can see the moth that they've caught.
Yeah, that's so wild. I was amazed watching a pair of hummingbirds in our yard, and they were just going around and around this big pine tree. And I
Hmm.
was like, what are they doing? And then I'd watch them, like zink, zink, dink, and they were picking off the little gnats and little little bark insects.
Yeah.
And most people, I don't even think know that hummingbird eats insects. That
Yeah, most people think they only eat nectar, but
yeah,
right, they do eat a lot of insects, and they require insects. If they don't get enough insects, they will be malnourished, and they won't be able to survive.
yeah. I think it
Uh,
really speaks to the real need and things that people can do in just doing basic, ordinary rewilding of their yards and the gardens. I mean, you're so
yeah,
fortunate to have
doesn't
an
right. It doesn't take that much, right? It's just like we got into basically not mowing the lawn a couple of years ago, and especially in the backyard. And our yard is loaded with fireflies in
oh,
the
lovely.
summer now. And the cricket chorus is like overwhelming. It's just really fantastic. Let me just share very briefly. Um, that's the book that we're talking about right now,
Yeah,
Alfie and Me. And then there's let me, I want to share one other thing here. There's a children's version of the story. I'm not sure. I think we sent you a copy of this. I'm not quite
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Look at
So
wonderful.
so, so two different things. The children's version, The Owls in Our Yard, I actually say it's good for children of all ages. And Sylvia gave me the best advice on this. Once many years ago, I said to Sylvia, I want to be like you when I grow up. And your answer was, of course, well, then just don't grow up. So
Yes.
I tried to take that to heart.
100%. And
It's overrated growing up.
it is overrated growing up. We always have to remain kid-like and curious and
Of course.
crawl around, look at
I'm so
fireflies.
happy when kids learn to walk and talk, and then you say, sit down,
I
be
know,
quiet.
be quiet, don't move, sit still. Yeah.
Sit down, be quiet, don't touch that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, all the don'ts,
Yeah.
bad.
I
It's all,
often, I, I often wonder what is it like actually in hunter-gatherer societies? how are they with their kids? And I have a feeling that they never say, sit down, don't talk, and don't touch that.
Yeah, they're like, dig harder.
Yeah. Get me that bloody knife over there, please.
Yeah.
I have to peel the beet.
Yeah, to sneak up on things. Yeah. So the creepy walk, all those things, all those skills.
Yes.
But so
Oh, wait, how old do screech owls get to be? Do you know?
A good age in the wild is 10, and in captivity, they can get to be close to 20.
Hmm.
So, any animal, well, any wild animal is a professional athlete. And for birds that have to catch things that don't want to get caught, they have to be always at the top of the game. Uh, Alfie, though, has a bit of a ringer, and that is me and my wife, Patricia, because we usually put some food out for her. And
She knows
in
where
the
to go.
winter, I think it's very important.
yeah,
I think it really helps. In the summer, she can take it or leave it usually, but there are times, especially when there's snow on the ground for days at a time, it's not that easy to catch mice, and I think a lot of these little and the screech owls don't migrate, so I think a lot of them they have to live off fat for days at a time. That obviously gets really dicey. And the northern extent of their range is usually dictated by where there's just too much snow on the ground for them to find mice in the wintertime.
yeah. No, I agree. And again, it really points to how helpful it can be when people kind of keep some habitat intact in their own yards or in their neighborhoods.
Yeah,
And
we displaced so much.
yeah, there's not enough forage space oftentimes for for
Mhm.
wild animals to make
Right.
get the
Well,
growth.
one thing about mowing a lawn is that, if you don't mow the lawn, the grass goes to seed, and the seed is food for all the rodents and all the sparrows and all these birds the finches that come in the winter. And even we now, in the last few years, we have turkeys in our neighborhood.
So
When we first moved to this house, there were no deer around, and now we have a lot of deer, and now we have turkeys. And the turkeys come in our yard and they pick the tips off of the grass. It's food for, I was going to say it's food for people. It's food for
yeah.
other people.
Yeah, other
With
creatures.
feathers.
Yes, yes. We've had a uh, a
Invasion.
deluge, I would say of invasion. We've had a lot of turkeys this year too,
Yeah.
and they've been really entertaining. They came through in their little chicks, and then the big group of them roost up in the trees in the backyard at night, and then in the morning I can hear them kind of like calling to each other, like the call to action, and then
Yeah.
they take off, and it's like watching these pterodactyls kind of glide through the yard.
Oh,
Um,
it's so startling to see flying turkeys up in the
I know
trees.
they're huge, and it's the craziest thing. But
Hmm.
they've been pretty cool. The dogs have not been amused, however. They because the turkeys come right to the
Nope.
back door, and they kind of look in, and they're like, "Hey,
Oh, really?
can't get me,"
That's funny.
haunting the dogs. But
Well, our dogs were, well, one of them was taught. Oh, no, actually, both. I'm looking at one of them right now. They were both taught to basically leave chickens alone because we've always had, like you, have had chickens for quite a while, and we have had chickens for a long time. And our chickens roam around the yard all day, so we had to teach the dogs to just kind of get over it and basically ignore the chickens, and they transfer that to basically any birds that are walking around. So they don't, if we take the dog somewhere and there are geese, they don't run after the geese.
that's
They
good.
not only do they ignore the chickens, but the chickens actually often come near the dogs because they feel safer near the dogs. And the dogs totally ignore the turkeys. The turkeys are a little leery of the dogs, but they've gotten to know our dogs are not going to bother them.
Mhm.
And so, they no longer flee.
That's good. That's good. So you have to tell us about your experience with Oprah and dogs.
Please.
Okay, sure.
It's a
Uh,
great
well,
program.
let I'll tell you the sort of the most humorous part of it is that her producer phoned me. He rang my cell phone at 8 p.m. on a Friday night, and I didn't recognize his name when it came up. I had actually spoken to him a few times about a decade ago, and I didn't remember his name. So it comes up. I don't usually answer for people I don't recognize. I picked up the phone, and he said, "Hi, I'm Eric Peltier. I'm from the Oprah show." And I thought it was a scam. I thought, okay, yeah, right. But now you want my bank information, right? So you can wire my honorarium directly, right?
Yep.
So I wasn't like that welcoming at first because I was waiting to hear what the scam was going to be, but it turned out to be completely real. Everyone who works on that show is incredibly nice. I mean, I was expecting professionalism because she's at the top of the game. I was expecting competence because I figured everything would run smoothly. What I was not expecting was how friendly and warm and thorough and responsive everyone was. So it turned out, I got invited to go to Santa Barbara, where Oprah Winfrey lives most of the time. And my wife came, Patricia came, and we did the taping there. Um, Oprah herself was unbelievably warm. I've been a guest on a few big name type people, and they're very competent, but Oprah was just so unbelievably friendly. And in fact, at the end of the interview, I said, my mother has been so excited that I was going to come here to talk to you. And she said, "Well, what's your mother's name?" I said, "Rose." Oh, she says, "Okay, wait." So she asked the producer. She says, "Take a video of me here because I'm at the Rose Garden. We were just outside the tea room where we did the taping." So she did about a minute long video for my mother saying,
Wow.
"Hello, Rose. I'm here at the Rose Garden." And she just kind of like went on and on, just like incredibly, incredibly nice. And the other thing about the interview itself was that there are I mean, there are plenty of people who make a living with dogs. They make a living training dogs. They write books about training dogs. I write about animals. And in one of my books, when I was talking about dogs as the descendants, the domestic descendants of wolves, I'm more about nature and the
Right.
true nature of creatures and animals. Where do dogs get their personalities from? Why are they the way they are? Why do we have dogs in our houses instead of chimpanzees, our closer relatives? Because dogs live in families. They've been living in families for 50,000 years because that's the way wolves live, and dogs are wolves, and chimpanzees are totally different. And so, that's what I write about. So, and yet I get called to talk to Oprah Winfrey about dogs. And what I loved about talking to her was, first of all, she clearly had read what I had written. She had read my book, Beyond Words, which with the subtitle is What Animals Think and Feel. She had read the book Alfie and Me about the owl that we were just talking about. And here's what we did not talk about. We did not talk about training, aggression, housebreaking, clickers, uh, how to have a dog in a car. Uh, we didn't talk about anything like that. We talked about dogs and their emotional capacities. Uh,
Yes.
how do we know that a dog really does feel love for us? What do we know about the ability of dogs to feel well-being or trauma, depending on how they are treated by humans, of course? And those kinds of things. We talked about dogs as dogs, not dogs as objects of training, not about collars and leashes and stuff like that. And I loved that that's where she wanted the conversation to start, and that's where we kept it. And it was a great experience. And boy, does she have a fan base. In the first week when that interview went live. Well, I should say we taped it in May, didn't go live until September because they did such a great job editing it. They over a period of a few weeks, that producer that first contacted me was writing to me, do you have any pictures of you with the dogs when they were puppies? Do you have any pictures of you when you were a little kid with birds? Do you have any pictures of you when you were raising pigeons in Brooklyn when you were a child? Do you have any pictures of you out on the ocean? And so I was sending him what he asked for, and they dropped those in at wonderful points in the interview when it went live.
Nice.
Beautiful editing job. And when it went live for the first week, uh, she was getting her YouTube channel there was getting 200,000 views a day. That
Wow.
works out to more than 2 views per minute. So, man, people tune into Oprah, and
And
uh,
dogs.
yeah,
Oh,
right. And and dogs are a very popular topic. We had a wonderful time together. I was just thrilled and delighted about the whole thing, and I still am.
it's so wonderful. Did you meet her dogs?
She did not have any dogs with her on the set that day, but she said that she's had 21 dogs. And in the
21.
video, there are pictures that they put in there of a lot of the dogs that she has had.
Yeah, that's so awesome. It's more and more research is being done just about the whole dog human interrelationship and all the health benefits and mental benefits that both dogs and humans have from interacting with each other and living with each other. And um,
Jane Goodall, when asked who who were her teachers, uh, she points to her dog.
Yeah. I know. It was always, you always expected Jane Goodall to say, "Oh, chimpanzees, of course," right? But
nope.
actually her favorite animals were dogs. And as much as I would say, mostly interested in wild animals, my favorite animals are dogs as well. Because, where else do you get that kind of interaction with another species? And really, how often very touching and actually very humbling they can be. As I said on the Oprah interview, and she really picked up on this, that dogs show us how to be the people we would wish to be, because they're always in the moment. They're always into being alive. They always want to get beyond any kind of problems that you have with them. And um, I'm laughing. I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a second. They always want to get beyond any kind of problems that you have with them or they have with you. And if they think there's anything wrong with you, they empathize. They come and try to see if there's anything they can do for you and stuff like that. So the reason I was laughing is Patricia is right across the room, and she's pointing to one of our dogs on the couch, who is lying upside down right now, looking
God, it's all like,
adorable.
Well,
yeah.
they are innocent in ways that,
Oh, and Patricia says hello to you, by the way. So, yeah. All right. So they're innocent in ways. Go ahead.
we might think that chewing on your slippers is a crime, but they don't mean that's not a willful crime. They, it's just good fun. It's something to chew on.
That's true. Our dog Chula, who is right over there, um, she did chew up a few slippers when she was young, and I remember one morning, and she was quite young, and I remember one morning our daughter was pretty upset because it wasn't a slipper she chewed. She chewed a pretty nice boot, and I had to say, but Alexandra, she's only a puppy. She's just a child. And but then the other part of that is when dogs chew things they're not supposed to chew, it's usually because you haven't given them things that they are supposed to chew.
It's
And when
true.
we
It's
got that, duh, and just gave them a bunch of stuff and said, here, this is yours, you can do this, and over here, no, 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 they get it pretty immediately, at least in my experience.
I think we've had the same experiences. Although one of the current dogs, it just loves it when he knows that there's something he shouldn't have, and
Oh
he
yeah,
takes it, gets it in his mouth, shows it to you, and he runs.
that's very, very hilarious.
It's their human.
It's the human, but the expression, it's like, look what I have now. It's a sock, it's a box of tissues. It's a dish towel.
But
Yes,
see, I mean, all of, I often say when we talk about animals, we talk about like, oh, they're so cute, and we like laughing about how cute they are. It is cute and it is worth laughing about, but also really it's so profound that there's so much going on in those heads. There
yeah,
are minds in there. We share the world with minds, not just with objects or other species or creatures or, and a problem with our language is that we always default to calling them as though they are an object. So we always say, we
true.
always use the word it for any
Mhm.
other living being. It.
Ooh,
And Robin Wall Kimmerer has pointed that out in some of her writing that English does not have a language of animacy. It's Humans are basically the only things that are given what Sylvia just said, given status as who. And with a dog, you say, "Oh, it ran away. It was in my garbage. It is barking."
Yeah.
It's always an object. It's never a being, and that really colors how we see not them, but every other living thing in the world. We don't have a language of animacy or reverence or miraculousness that would be much more appropriate.
And,
agreed.
and,
Life is a miracle, no matter who they are.
and to your point, like, what about fish?
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be the most itified animals that are out there. Uh, how many metric tons did you get? How many fillets can you get from it? How many pounds of protein did it yield?
Yes, yes.
Not
Well,
really.
I've been guilty of that quite a bit, which has been a fishbone of contention between
That's between you guys.
Sylvia and I from time to time.
Well, it's a matter of looking at all forms of life, insects that some would wish would just boom disappear. And if they did, we would too, because we need them. And we need fish, and we need dogs, we need owls, we
Well,
need
I actually say that now that statement is also true if you invert it. They need us. Because if we don't care about them, we will just sweep them away in the tidal wave that we have become.
Yeah.
And that I think that's the way I tend to look at it now is that I don't really care that we need them. I don't actually so much believe that we need them, and I'll tell you why. Take something like well, take the big things that everybody knows about. Elephants, chimpanzees, uh, giraffes, they don't live in the Western Hemisphere at all. And so there's an experiment for you. And they don't live in Europe at all. So the experiment is, do we need them? No, people do more than all right without them. And in fact, to the extent that we have thrived, which means, basically humans have exploded and invented all this technology and taken over the world, we've done that really only to the extent that we have pushed them out.
Mhm.
So that's why I don't really think it's true that we need them for the most part. I think we need bacteria. I think we need fungi. I think we need many plants, and we certainly need those things that attempt as best they can to keep the atmosphere stable and produce oxygen and soil and stuff like that. But the big furry things that people mostly care about, or most of the birds that make our lives beautiful, I think we don't need them except to make the world a livable place that is worth living in. But they need us, or they won't continue to exist. If we don't value them, if we don't act on love for them, and make sure that they have what they need, they won't be able to exist anymore. North America has lost a third of its wild birds in our lifetime. And
50% of
Here's the
nature.
thing, Carl. Nature doesn't move at our pace. Some of these processes that are driven by life on Earth, the chemistry of the planet, the world is changing, but not in a single lifetime, although I've witnessed in my lifetime, your lifetime, the lifetime of kids, we're seeing rapid change in planetary chemistry and temperature, moving in a direction that is clearly not favoring us. So
right.
challenge your belief that we don't really need them, because Earth has been through hundreds of millions of years during, most of the time, not favorable to us. But in the last 100,000, especially the last 10,000, all of the comings and goings, the fabric of life that has been and has evolved to where we were when humans really took off 10,000 or so years ago, the so-called Holocene. We did exterminate the large, the slow, the tasty creatures that we could use that helped us survive and thrive. But never before has there been such a wave of extermination, not just diminishing the mass of wildlife that creates the planetary chemistry. It gives us the air we breathe, the seasons that come and go in a favorable way. I mean, we couldn't go back 100 million years ago. A lot of life, but it wasn't suitable for the likes of us. It's taken
Right.
this preceding fabric of life that was just right about 10,000 years ago, during which time we did, as you point out, lose a lot of the big animals. And yet Earth was still okay for us. But the wave of consumption, largely in the last 200 years, and especially on our watch, the last 100 years, last 50 years, has been so catastrophic, so fast.
That's true.
That we are at a place where we can say, wait, if we just bring those birds back, we need you birds, because you are creating this chemistry, this fabric that makes our existence possible. We've gone over the line on a number of those, what some scientists are referring to as boundaries, the planetary boundaries.
Yeah.
Safe in a universe that's really not very friendly. Just try to set up housekeeping on Mars.
That's right.
What keeps Earth stable within a range of circumstances that
Yeah.
are suitable for the likes of us? We can't go back. We can't recover what's been lost, except by protecting what exists and restoring what we can, one owl at a time.
1 yard, rewilding 1
Well,
yard.
I'm all with you on all of that, and I'm sure you're aware of a new recent report about coral reefs and the really horrible state that they are in, which I would say was unforeseen 20 years ago, that
Yep.
coral
No.
reefs would be in such a mess a mere 20 years later.
We began, I think, really being concerned around 1980. And we've put into motion laws to protect birds. We haven't done a good job of that, but at least we're trying. With the ocean, we subsidize the killing
That's
of
true.
ocean wildlife.
Yeah.
We're poaching tuna and squid and krill and swordfish, and you name it. If it's in the ocean, we call it seafood.
Right.
Or it's underutilized, or whatever. It's just, we think of life in the sea as products. We don't see a tuna as a face, as an individual, the way we've come to appreciate dogs. and cats,
Right.
horses, and birds. But
Well, I
it's
used to say, you can't hang a tuna feeder outside your kitchen window. So, we at least we get to see the birds in our neighborhood, but the fish really remain um, really alien beings for most people.
Yeah, it's
we're
true.
we're the alien beings. They dominate the planet in terms of vertebrate numbers.
Yeah,
There's a thousand kinds of fish.
right.
It preceded birds, preceded mammals, preceded lizards and frogs, but they're still here. And there are a lot of them. And everyone, like every owl, every dog, every human, everyone is an individual. And, I've been privileged to have the opportunity to spend not enough time, but enough to see that they're just like dogs. Not
Yeah.
just dogs, but they're like dogs in that everyone is an individual. They're curious, they're intelligent, they feel pain.
Hmm.
They regard us with curiosity. Not
As well they should, because they might as well be wondering, how did this fish get out of the ocean and grow legs?
exactly.
But I mean, and we see so many overlaps, with birds because, fish school, the same way the birds flock. We see pair bonding. We see even like tool use with some fishes. We see uh, hunting, different species hunting together, that kind of cooperative strategies that we
They're
usually just,
leaders in packs of tunas, which you write about in.
Yeah.
but cod the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like you have the old cod that
And they
teach the young cod the migration
Yes,
route
right. Yeah. Right. Who would
and
have
all those
expected that,
things that
right?
are, yeah,
I don't know if you know about, there was a study of maybe 8 or 10 years ago that showed that a kind of a wrasse, I can't remember which one, can recognize itself, can recognize a mirror reflection as itself with the classic mirror mark test, where they put a mark on the fish and the fish recognized that the thing in the mirror was itself and tried to rub the mark off. And the journal would not publish the article unless the author, and I talked to the author a number of times about this, several journals simply wouldn't publish it because they didn't believe it. And finally, the one that relented said that he had to add a paragraph saying that there must be something wrong with the mirror test.
Oh my God.
You
Well,
know,
we
like
observe it.
fish cannot get a break at all, ever, no matter
Yeah,
what, right?
yeah, but we observed that similar thing when we helped the artist Doug Aitken with the installation of the underwater pavilions in the Catalina dive park some years ago. And our state marine fish, the Garibaldi, it's a big
I know what they are, yeah.
yeah, great big damselfish. But they're really pugnacious. They're always going at each other and stuff. And they were coming into the pavilions, and on the mirrored side, they were at it, like, I'm gonna get you. And then after a few days, they'd kind of cruise by and you get a little side eye, kind of looking, and they'd stop and they'd kind of look at themselves. But they weren't like
Preen
going
a little bit.
preen, but they weren't going into that sort of attack mode of where they thought they were defending a territory. So
Uh-huh.
to us, it seemed that they had recognized themselves. And I've seen a dog do it too, where they first time they see themselves in the mirror, it's like, ah, rah, rah. All teeth, hackles, and then a little while later, they're like, oh, it's me, and so I think they definitely can have
Mhm.
that ability, that
Yeah.
self-awareness.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
And I think they certainly do feel pain the same way that
Oh,
other animals do. And it's such a travesty to watch these animals just sort of,
just
netted up or crushed, or we would
I
never do
know.
it.
Yeah. That is very distressing. And,
Yeah.
full disclosure, I still do go fishing, but fish do feel pain. And experiments show it, their behavior shows it. There's just no getting around that. They do.
Yeah.
we have a no fishing date that has yet to be
Oh
real.
yeah, I can't wait for your guys' no fishing date.
I'm always ready. I'm always ready. You did come out on the boat one time, but we had very little time and it was a very windy, rough day, so we didn't go far. We just went a short distance, anchored up, and you regaled the people that I had on board, especially a couple of young people who were thrilled to be that close to Sylvia Earle. So
Close to the fish
To the fish, yeah.
and to you.
Well, I want to bring Carl out and get him in a submersible with you.
Oh, yes, you've got to go see the fish from inside a bubble.
I want to do that.
Your standing invitation is when we get those 2 Honu subs in operation, and
Mhm.
you must come.
I
Go
think
down where it's dark all the time.
So how deep is it where it's dark all the time? Is it like 800 feet?
In San Francisco Bay, it's about
Oh,
20.
I guess I mean theoretically.
in a nicer environment in the Pacific. Let's see, in the greater Pacific.
Were they in the Atlantic too, around Bermuda, where William Beebe made the first successful dive of any human, along with an engineer partner, Otis Barton. Went half a mile beneath the surface and for the first time saw what looked like fireflies under the sea, but they were bioluminescent fish and other creatures
Mhm.
do that
Yeah,
flashy stuff.
but it's usually that sort of twilight zone is usually like 200 to 1,000 meters roughly. Where
And there's still light from the surface that deep?
in some areas, yeah, if the water's very, very
Wow.
clear
Oh,
and
wow.
you get,
Mhm.
a lot of good light penetration.
Enough for photosynthesis.
Yeah, and it's where we see that sort of the largest animal migrations on Earth happening
Yeah.
every night. That huge biomass of all these little bristle mouths and squid and all kinds of small,
And the babies of just about everybody.
yeah, all the little
So
drifters and nursery, but they all kind
Mhm.
of come towards the surface at night when they are less subject to predation. But it's such a tremendous amount of number of animals and kinds of animals that actually stir the layers of the water.
I have read about that, and I've seen that migration on sonar on ships that I've been on when I've been out on NOAA ships for 2 or 3 weeks. You see that layer all day long. And as it gets to be late afternoon, it starts rising on the sonar. And then at night, if the ship stops, you just see all of that stuff right around the boat, all around the surface, all
Yeah,
those little fish that are called myctophids, a lot of the planktonic animals, the fish larvae. I remember we netted with a dip net. I was with Bob Pittman and Lisa Balance. I know you know both of them. Dip netting sailfish this
oh,
big
so
that,
amazing.
that were recognizable sailfish that were, they were still like semi-larval. Squid, a lot of squid. It's unbelievable how many squid there are in the almost everywhere you stop at night. If you turn on lights, there are some squid,
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of squid.
What's shocking now is that, we've been hearing more and more, and kind of going back to Ian and Urbina's work, is the sheer volume of squid fleets that are out there just extracting so much squid from the ocean every night. And Nainoa Thompson was mentioning to us that when he was in the
Great Pacific Navigator.
Great Pacific Navigator navigating across in the Hukalea canoe, that he was
Sure.
noticing dead zones that are not dead zones based on sort of nutrients coming into the ocean, but they're dead zones where there's no seabirds, where they would expect to see seabirds
Mhm.
because there's so little food for them
And life.
Yeah.
and life in the sea. So it's
Right.
this whole scale extraction that's just
And
unreal.
just as troubling, perhaps, that the lights
The
from the
light,
squid fleets
Mhm.
were
Light pollution.
so brilliant that, while navigating in these traditional Polynesian sailing voyaging canoes across the Pacific, you rely not on the instruments that have been developed that didn't exist thousands of years ago. They relied on the stars. They
Yeah.
relied on messages they get from the birds, from the
Mhm.
creatures that they encountered in the sea. And the lights of those squid fleets were so bright, they could not see the stars. It was like,
Oh, wow, that's a new one I haven't heard. I mean, I've heard and I've seen pictures of squid fleets that are visible from space. They look like cities in
Would,
certain parts of the ocean, but
would one,
interfering with traditional navigating, I have not heard that one before. Wow.
Yeah. And interfering with the ability of birds that migrate at night.
Sure. Oh, well, there's a lot of that on land as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of problems with birds and migration and lights. Where they just get sort of trapped
um,
and dazed and go around in
Yeah.
circles until they get exhausted and die.
Yeah, it's awful.
but Carla, I just love what you and the Safina Center are accomplishing in terms of creating something beyond facts and figures. It's what Jane Goodall, I think, conveyed in her ethic of caring. There's more to life than just, you know, surviving. It, it's a, it's the value that you bring. It's the empathy
Hmm.
of all life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So critical.
Yeah. Values are the beginning of everything because how you use any technology depends on what your values are about the world. Any technology serves the values that send it. And, like you could tell somebody a fact, they filter it through their values. You can say rhinoceroses are going extinct, and somebody could say, oh, that's terrible. We have to prevent that. And somebody else would say, I don't care. I don't need rhinoceroses. That's their values. They filter the same fact through values. And values are therefore, a much more fundamental thing. And that's what we're trying to work on. We're trying to make connections with people's values. We're trying to show them what's at stake so they will value the world and the life that we share this planet with, and make that a much higher priority than it currently is.
Yeah.
And,
Value
and,
nature. Don't just turn it into products.
and truly understanding that Earth is a living miracle. Look around.
Right.
Life on Mars, there was an ocean there once upon a time, but it's not working now in ways that favor us. I mean, maybe a few people will get there and set up housekeeping, and I say, go, go.
Run away.
I got a list.
My joke about that is leave the car keys.
Yeah.
Have a nice trip.
All right. We've got two questions in the queue here. Steve says, hi, Carl. Aside from all the awards and achievements that have been bestowed upon you over the past decades, what is the one personal attribute that you are the most proud to have achieved?
Ooh. Hmm.
Personal attribute
But it
I-
says,
that I am the most proud to have achieved. Patricia is saying it's getting back to having a jazz band, but that's that's not that's not what I would say. I would say that I always thought nature and animals and things like that were really beautiful and really cool. And I've really come to see, as we've been talking about, that they are truly miraculous. Living things are truly miraculous. The planet is a miracle, and all life is holy. That
Yeah.
I think that view is, maybe I feel like that's an achievement that I value.
Yeah.
amazing.
I think if you ask Jane Goodall, would say, that's what my dog taught me.
Mhm.
And our next question is about Jane. Uh, Carolyn asked, Carl, did you ever meet Jane Goodall? If so, what was your conversation like? By the way, I love my dog and I look forward to watching you on Oprah.
Okay, great. I did meet Jane Goodall on two occasions, and the first occasion was at the World Economic Forum. Um, I think, she used to travel more than 300 days a year. I don't, Sylvia, I don't know if you are in exactly that category or you travel even more than that because I always say Sylvia Earle never got the gene for tired. But
No,
but when I met Jane at the World Economic Forum that night, I think she was exhausted. She wasn't into talking. That was disappointing because, of course, I wanted to really talk to Jane Goodall, and she just needed a break from everybody. The second time, we were on a Zoom call where both of us were speakers it was a student event in Russia. It was during COVID, so just a few years ago. And what I really liked was that before we did our speaking in the, we got on the Zoom call like half an hour early so that we could go over who was going to go first and what the audience was like and meet the moderators and stuff like that. We had some time to just chat about things. And Jane was a very different kind of a Jane Goodall than her sort of the extremely dignified public personality. She was pretty casual. She was pretty profane about some things, which it just cracked me completely up to hear Jane Goodall say, you know what really pisses me off?
oh man, that's awesome. I always think about what it would be like if she only was able to use our typical oceanographic tools to study chimpanzees.
Oh
So
God. Oh,
like lowers a camera into the forest, drags the net through,
yeah.
what would it be like? And it's really what kind of drives us to create technology to help us care about the ocean and to
And
really
we
think,
only know fish mostly because, or squid or shrimp or lobsters, when they're on our plate.
yeah,
And if we only knew chimpanzees as something like chimpanzee burgers or
Oh,
dog
yes,
burgers.
God. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's
So
a thought for you.
it really, and I always just kind of think about that and like how we can
Mm.
really get people to be, I don't know, just
Empathy.
yeah, more empathy. As empathetic as a humpback whale. Talk about an empathetic animal.
Well, I mean, look at all of our food. I mean, even canned corn or any, like we don't see how it grows. We don't see who has picked it. We don't know anything about it. Imagine, much less meat. Imagine if meat was packaged with a picture of that animal
Who
on
are
the
you?
package. This is some of my muscle in this package. Or with
Mhm.
vegetables, I'm the farm worker that picked it. Here's the story of my life. Maybe we would appreciate something, but a very weird thing about our education system, because it reflects our lack of values about empathy and valuing the world, is that we get a diploma and we get cards that say congratulations, graduate and balloons that go up in the air and land in the ocean that say,
Ah, yeah.
congratulations, graduate. You're an educated person now. And we're educated people who have no idea where our food comes from, where our water comes from, where our waste goes, whether it's down our drains and toilets or in the garbage that gets picked up. Where is it?
Yeah.
We don't know any of the material that's around us. Who made this computer? How were the materials gotten out of the ground? We don't know anything about our lives, and we think that we're educated.
Mhm.
That's really unbelievable when you think we don't know anything about where our food comes from, much less who our food is or was.
Yeah. Was. Yeah. No,
Oh,
it's absolutely the
bravo.
case.
Bravo for standing up for nature
Yes.
and just championing the fact that it is a miracle that we're here at all, let
Yeah,
alone
you and I
alive.
have to keep saying that, I mean, if, the three of us have a little bit of a platform and we can talk to people, and I think that's really, the first message is we live in a miracle. We should
Mm.
start
Yes.
acting that way.
Yes.
Respect.
Yes. Respect, empathy, care,
Mhm.
passion.
Do unto fish as you'd have them do unto you.
100%. Well, we are
Or
at the
dog.
top at the top of the hour.
No
Are
way. Wow, really?
talking, right?
Oh boy. Wow.
Before we close, I'd like to say thank you, Carl. Thank you for coming back and chatting with us again. Hopefully you'll come back again even later.
We have,
I hope so, Liz.
Yeah.
And it's always my honor to see you and of course to be in the presence of Sylvia.
oh, the presence of both of you.
Yes. And thank you, Ocean Elders, our producers, and to everyone out there in the diving community who comes and enjoys these conversations with us. We're so grateful to you all, and water connects us all. And we are going to be back November,
In November, maybe twice.
yeah, maybe twice in November, working on the dates. And until then, take care of the ocean
As if your life depends on it.
because
It does.
it
Does.
does. And rewild your yard.
And your dog.
And pet your dog.
Yeah. Love your dog.
Love your dog. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
for
you
now.
very, very much. Really always a pleasure and an honor.
Yes.